Well, good morning. My name is State Representative Ryan Spain. I represent the 73rd District in the Illinois House. It has been 1 week now since the ComEd 4 verdict was delivered, and here we are again. And the reason we're here again is to emphasize the need for ethics reform in the state of Illinois, and specifically to ask the question, where are the Democratic leaders in the General Assembly and in our state government, and what are they doing on the topics of ethics reform? I just listened to remarks from the governor upstairs talking about the legislative process and how it works, and that there are committees that could be doing work on issues for cleaning up corruption in our state government. Many of us serve on one of those very committees, the Ethics and Elections Committee in the Illinois House. Luckily, we had a hearing yesterday in the Ethics and Elections Committee that I was looking forward to, because I thought surely 1 week after the ComEd 4 verdict, and in anticipation of the Mike Madigan trial that we're coming upon in the next year, surely this will be the time, for the first time this spring, where we would begin to consider ethics initiatives in the Ethics and Elections Committee. What did we do in that committee yesterday? We took subject matter testimony on voting by jail, allowing convicted felons to vote while they're serving their sentence in prison. This is the Keep Mike Madigan voting program, essentially, that must be important as a priority for the Democratic leaders here in the General Assembly. Where are the leaders, and what are they doing on the topic of ethics reform in the state of Illinois? We have just over 1 week to go in session, and we are not doing anything on this key and critical topic, one of the most important topics at the most important time in the history of the state of Illinois. This is not something that should be conducted in the last second of the legislative session. This is not an area where Democrats should attempt to feign some interest in sunshine while negotiating an ethics package in the dark of night. We have seen what happens when Democrats take actions in dark rooms delivering gerrymandered maps and political corruption. It has to stop. We cannot continue to have business as usual here in the state of Illinois. Again, it has been 1 week since the ComEd verdict. What has happened here in our state government? Today we saw that a former Democratic legislator left prison and is now working here as a lobbyist. That has happened in the last week. We've seen actions taken by Democratic leadership to expel one of their members from a leadership team for disruption, but there's no action taken for corruption. In fact, the Speaker of the House, it is worth reminding you, was the chairperson of the Special Investigating Committee looking into and examining the conduct of Mike Madigan while he was in office, and now Speaker Welch is the person who swept all of those allegations under the rug, made comments that the activities investigating Speaker Madigan were a stunt, were a political sham, and he promptly shut those investigations down. That's a conflict of interest. We see far too many conflicts of interest here, and we see far too little Democratic leaders stepping up and taking seriously the issue of public corruption that plagues our state of Illinois. For more information on that, I'll turn it over now to our Republican floor leader, Representative Patrick Windhorst.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm Patrick Windhorst, State Representative in the 117th District, which is all or part of 10 counties in southernmost Illinois. Recently, United States Representative Sean Casten called out former Speaker Mike Madigan, asking for him to resign his position as a Cook County Democratic Committee person, and added that public service is a sacred trust. I couldn't agree more. Madigan should resign, and we should be actively working to enhance anti-corruption laws in Illinois. Congressman Casten is the highest-ranking Democrat in our state to call for significant change and to not accept the status quo of the Madigan era. I was here last week after the 4 guilty verdicts were delivered, making the case that we need ethics reforms that would help stamp out corruption in our state. In my remarks shortly after the verdicts, here's what I said. We believe legislators shouldn't be lobbyists. We believe in halting the revolving door. We believe in empowering the Legislative Inspector General with subpoena powers so that the office may perform thorough corruption investigations and root out bad behavior. Yesterday, in this very room, we heard from former Democratic Governor Pat Quinn on this same topic. Governor Quinn knows we need change. Representative Caston is calling for change. So the question is, where are the House and Senate Democrats on ethics reform? What is it going to take? How many more elected officials need to be arrested or imprisoned or strike a plea deal with the federal government before the Democratic leaders and rank and file members will wake up and get to work? We don't need a special session. House Republicans are already sponsoring a long list of bills that could pass this General Assembly in the remaining balance of this session that would begin to address the culture of corruption that continues under this dome. At this time, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Representative Amy Ellick.
Good morning. I'm State Representative Amy Ellick from the 111th District in Madison County. Illinois is plagued with corruption, and the recent ComEd 4 verdict tied to former House Speaker Mike Madigan reaffirms what has been wrong with our state government for decades and further proves why we shouldn't provide a perk to lawmakers indicted for corruption. Under current law, Madigan will continue to collect a taxpayer-paid pension until a guilty verdict is reached. This means Madigan could go on to collect his elected official pension for several years before it's taken away upon a guilty verdict or a plea deal. That's why I've filed legislation to suspend a lawmaker's pension if they are charged with corruption by federal investigators. My bill, House Bill 1277, will take away a lawmaker's pension while awaiting the outcome of a case so that no perks are offered to a politician when they are indicted for corruption. As a public official, you carry a heightened responsibility to the public. While public trust has been diminished, one way that we can hold on to that trust, even when it's betrayed by bad actors, is to withhold taxpayer-funded pensions. Other states already do this. The clock is running out in Springfield. We are quickly approaching our last week of the legislative session. We have a number of other proposals. Over the last few years, we've offered many solutions, and many of these they're all stuck in rules. Any one of those proposals are solid efforts our caucus has put forward to move the needle on ethics, to restore public trust, and to improve government. But the effort has been ignored, and paired with a lack of urgency by the Democrat majority, even when presented with a major reminder in federal court last week, is only a further disservice to taxpayers. Today, I'm here with my colleagues to present an opportunity for change, a solution to a clear problem we have here in Illinois, a path forward without the stain of corruption. Now I'd like to introduce my colleague, State Representative Blaine Willauer.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you guys for being here today. State Representative Blaine Willauer, South Central Illinois. You know, everybody knows that the corruption in this dome is rampant. It's been that way for a long time. It's embarrassing. It's immoral. But what we don't talk about enough is how this affects everyday citizens, average citizens in the state of Illinois. You know, look, this is a great state. Illinois is the best state in the country. We have everything that we need to be able to be a economic power in this state to provide good jobs and good wages for the citizens of the state. But the way that we do business here in the State House, it limits the average citizen's ability to be able to exercise their full potential. You know, too much politics by the special interests for the special interests really limits our ability here. That's what we need to be talking about in this state. We do not do anything to limit the power of the political class in this state. Bad policies have basically driven this state into the ground. We see it in our own communities. Good jobs are leaving. They're not leaving because Illinois doesn't have the resources that it needs. They're leaving because of poor public policy that puts the interest of the corporations, the lobbyists, everybody in front of the regular folks in the state of Illinois. So we have been hammering this for years. We've got numerous bills out there that would expose and eliminate conflicts of interest, that would empower the watchdogs that are supposed to be watching over this place to ensure that we're doing the people's business. We've got multiple things out there, and we've had them out there for years. The only reason that it doesn't get done is because the Democrats that have run this place for a generation don't want to do it. And, you know, I think that we need to start asking why. You need to start asking why. And I think that at the end of the day, the only answer that makes sense, especially in light of all the arrests, everything that we've seen, is that it's not in their best interest to do so. And that needs to be exposed. We need to be talking about that, and that's why we're here today. So.